A wedding is supposed to be a masterpiece of love, a story written by two hearts, culminating in one perfect day. But what happens when the author of that story becomes a tyrant, when the ink is mixed with tears and every chapter is a demand? We've all heard of DIY weddings. But some things are best not done yourself. For when the beautiful dream of a perfect wedding curdles into a terrifying obsession, the result isn't just a disaster, it's a nightmare. The do-it-yourself wedding. It whispers a promise of personalization, of intimacy, of a celebration crafted by hand. It seems so pure. But in the quiet spaces between the glue gun and the glitter, a darkness can fester. The pressure of perfection can transform a blushing bride into something else entirely, a bridezilla. We're not talking about simple pre-wedding stress. We are talking about a descent, a chilling transformation where a bride, obsessed with her vision, is willing to destroy everything in her wake to achieve it. Today, we uncover 3 cautionary tales, 3 DIY projects that became monuments to mayhem, not because of a lack of skill, but because of the chilling demands of the bride in charge. This is a world where the devil isn't in the details. She's in the bride's vision. Our first story begins with a bride we'll call Amelia. Amelia's vision was poetic. 1,000 hand-folded paper cranes, a symbol of eternal happiness, hanging from delicate hand-painted branches at the center of every table. A beautiful dream. But a dream can become a prison for those ordered to build it. Amelia didn't ask her 5 bridesmaids for help. She issued a decree. Every weekend, for 3 months, was forfeit. Their lives were now dedicated to folding. The first weekend was filled with laughter and wine. By the third, a tense silence had fallen over the room, broken only by the crisp folding of paper. Paper cuts multiplied. Resentment simmered beneath the surface. The pile of cranes grew, a silent, judging army of Amelia's ambition. Then came the inciting incident. As in any good mystery, it was a small thing. A bridesmaid, let's call her Chloe, had a family emergency. She missed one, and only one, folding session. Amelia's response wasn't anger. It was a cold, silent calculation. Chloe was quietly ostracized. Her texts went unanswered. Her name was spoken in whispers. On the wedding day, the disaster arrived. The branches, assembled by exhausted and demoralized hands, began to droop and then collapse. A cascade of paper cranes, symbols of happiness, littered the floor like fallen soldiers. But the true catastrophe wasn't the mess. Pushed to her limit, Chloe revealed the bride's cruel text messages to the other guests. Suddenly, the entire room knew the truth. The beautiful DIY project wasn't a symbol of love. It was the evidence of a tyrant's reign. It began as a beautiful dream, a vision of eternal happiness. But a dream can curdle into a nightmare when the dreamer becomes a monster, demanding that everyone else pay the price for their fantasy. Our second tale centers on Isabel, a bride obsessed with her new monogram. It had to be on the napkins, the invitations, the dance floor. And as the centerpiece for the entire ceremony, she envisioned a massive, 8-foot-tall floral monogram to stand behind the altar, a testament to their union. She enlisted her fiancé, Mark, to build the wooden structure. Mark was a software engineer, not a carpenter. Isabel's instructions were a labyrinth of contradictions. It needs to be sturdy, but I don't want to see any screws. It must be taller, but not so tall it looks tacky. Each day his work was belittled, his efforts dismissed. The project became a crucible for their relationship, burning away patience and respect. Here, the clues to the coming disaster were hidden in plain sight. Mark purchased heavy-duty bolts, but Isabel insisted the smaller, invisible nails were more aesthetically pleasing. A small detail, easily overlooked, but in the architecture of catastrophe, every single choice tells a part of the story. The wedding day arrived. The monogram was breathtaking. But as Isabel and Mark stood before it, exchanging their vows, a sudden gust of wind swept through the garden venue. The top-heavy monument to their union began to sway, a slow, terrifying pendulum of doom. It crashed backward, missing the officiant by inches. The symbol of their new life together had become the instrument of its near destruction. The failure wasn't the wood or the nails, it was the bride's catastrophic refusal to trust her partner. The quest for perfection is a dangerous obsession, and in the desperate scramble to build the perfect wedding, sometimes the foundation of the relationship itself is the first thing to break. Our final story is one of pure, unadulterated hubris. Victoria, a bride who considered herself a gourmet baker after watching a few online tutorials, made a shocking announcement. She would be baking her own 5-tiered wedding cake. She refused all offers of help. Her mother, a retired professional pastry chef, was explicitly forbidden from entering the kitchen. This DIY project was to be her solo masterpiece. For the week leading up to the wedding, the kitchen became her fortress of solitude. No one was allowed in. Strange smells began to emanate from under the door. Her fiancé would find her at 3 a.m., muttering about fondant and structural integrity, her eyes wide with a terrifying zeal. The unveiling was unsettling. The cake was a monument to ambition over ability. It leaned like a confectionery tower of Pisa. The frosting was sweating under the lights. It was a grotesque parody of the elegant photos Victoria had been inspired by. But the true horror was yet to be revealed. As they made the ceremonial first cut, the cake didn't just collapse. It gave way with a sickening, wet sigh. An avalanche of raw, uncooked batter slimed its way down the tiers, pooling on the antique tablecloth, a complete and utter DIY disaster. The guests stared in stunned silence. But across the room, one person was seen with a small, knowing smile. The bride's mother. The final twist. She knew this would happen. The greatest disaster of all wasn't the raw batter, but the bride's raw, unmanageable pride. The cranes of resentment, the monogram of mistrust, the cake of hubris, these DIY dreams became nightmares, not because of glue guns and glitter, but because the person in charge was blinded by a dangerous obsession. They prove that a wedding is a project of the heart, not just the hands. And sometimes, the most important thing you can do yourself is to ask for help. What's the most horrifying DIY wedding disaster you've ever witnessed? Let us know the chilling details in the comments below. And for more tales of when I do becomes I absolutely don't, be sure to subscribe to Bridezilla Nightmares.